Halloween didn't belong to horror for most of the 19th century. It belonged to flirtation, fortune-telling, and a little fairy trouble. The real ghost season was Christmas. Today we're tracing how Halloween crawled out of folk custom, tiptoed through poetry and parlor games, and finally put on the fangs in the 20th century. By the end, you'll see why Robert Burns, not Dracula, is the patron saint of literary Halloween. Quick context. Halloween grows out of All Hallows' Eve and older Celtic Samhain beliefs, a night when boundaries weaken and the good people roam. Even Shakespeare tosses an early nod in Measure for Measure. But the distinctly Scottish Halloween shows up clearly in the ballad Tam Lin. A rescue on Halloween night, a queen of faerie, a lover snatched across the border of worlds. That's the template. Liminal night, risky love, rules you break at your peril. Jump to 1780. John Mayne writes a minor poem and coins the vibe. Fearful pranks, bogies, rustic nerves. Then comes the Big Bang. In 1785, Robert Burns writes Halloween, and the holiday officially steps onto the literary stage. He opens, Upon that night, when fairies light on Cassilis Downan's dance. And then, switch, he's in the kitchen, at the hearth, with farmers and sweethearts. Nuts crack in the fire to read romance. Girls yank kale stalks to spy their future husbands. Faces plunge into barrels for apples. It's all laughter, rivalry, and a prickle of superstition. No grim ghouls. The poem is hormones, not headstones. Burns mattered. His poem was reprinted everywhere. Edinburgh, London, America. It didn't just describe the party, it standardized it. Victorian hosts copy the games. Artists paint the scenes. Daniel Maclise's Snap-Apple Night looks like a Burns stanza on canvas. If you picture bobbing for apples by candlelight, you're seeing through Burns's lens. Now here's the twist. When Gothic fiction explodes, Walpole, Radcliffe, the date October 31st barely factors. Haunted castles don't check the calendar. There's one theatrical crossover in 1799. John Cross slaps Halloween onto a Radcliffe-inspired stage spectacle and bookends it with Scottish spookery to sell tickets. That tells us something. Halloween is marketable atmosphere, yet it isn't the core engine of Gothic fiction. Meanwhile, the Victorians keep their ghosts for Christmas. Magazines pump out December chillers. Dickens makes a cottage industry of it. Halloween? In print, it splits in two directions. First, the folkloric. Irish and Scottish collectors print the old lore. Lady Wilde gathers legends of Samhain and November Eve. J.G. Campbell records fairies who snatch the unwary after dark. J.S. Le Fanu gives us the child that went with the fairies. Autumn twilight, holy water, Rowan charms, a child vanishing into the hill. The word Halloween doesn't need to appear. The atmosphere screams it. Second, the parlor. American and British magazines run cheerful Halloween party pieces. Apple spells. Mirror tricks at midnight to glimpse your future spouse. Robert J. Curtis's All Hallow Eve, or The Test of Futurity turns the night into a matchmaking device. The scares are staged, the lights are low, and the only thing dying is the candle. What about America's favorite Pumpkin Town phantom? Washington Irving's Legend of Sleepy Hollow is autumn to the bone. Lantern glow, harvest feast, a headless rider, but it never mentions Halloween. Still, it stitches old world specters onto new world soil and primes American readers for October eeriness. By the late 1800s, newspapers run Halloween poems and columns on how to throw the perfect party. But a Halloween horror boom? Not yet. So when does Halloween finally get teeth? In the 20th century, and it starts quietly. James Joyce's Clay, 1914, is a masterclass in subtle dread. A woman plays the saucer game at a Dublin Halloween party. Her blind hand finds wet clay, the token of death. No specter appears, but the room goes cold. Edith Wharton's All Souls, 1937, gives us an elegant All Hallows' Eve haunting in New England. Robert Bloch's The Cloak, 1939, has a man buy a costume for a Halloween party and find it transformative. Costumes become portals. The make-believe starts misbehaving. Then Ray Bradbury throws gasoline on the jack-o'-lantern. The October Game, 1948, weaponizes a party game. The October Country bottlenecks the season into skin. Something Wicked This Way Comes brings the dark carnival to late October. And The Halloween Tree, 1972, takes kids on a tour of Halloween's global history. Mummies, witches, masks, and 1,000 years of night folded into a single sprint through October air. He's the bridge. Burns's games, Samhain's ghosts, American porches, one continuum. Did literature make Halloween spooky? It safeguarded the lore first. Ballads, poems, and collections kept the gates open. It sold the party second. Burns and the ladies' magazines furnished the games. And once the holiday spread in America, fiction turned up the voltage. By the late 20th century, publishers build whole Octobers around ghost anthologies. Kids read Goosebumps on school buses. Adults hunt for new Halloween novellas the way Victorians hunted Christmas annuals. Here's the takeaway. The 19th century kept the embers alive. Fairies at the threshold, candles by the mirror, fortunes in the flames. The 20th century made the bonfire, costumes, carnivals, and the night itself as a stage for terror. We read in October because poets, folklorists, and storytellers taught us how the air should feel. Your turn. Which era does Halloween best? The Burns Party Night or the Bradbury After Dark Carnival? Or do you swear by Christmas ghosts? Drop your vote and your favorite story below. If you want more 19th century deep cuts with a modern spine, hit subscribe and stick around. Until next time, keep your candles lit and your prefaces loaded.